Right, come on, guys.
Once upon a time, before our world was turned upside down, parents like Nick and Nectaria Dimos took their kids to play sport on the weekend.
How are you, bud? How are you, man?
It was before we shunned handshakes and hugs, when we could hold our grandchildren close. It was before the Oakley Cannons Football Club, a hub for the local Greek community, closed its doors.
Yoti, you're training here. You're training here, not down there. No, you're going to play with your team.
Nick practically grew up here. His dad was one of the club founders, and now he and his wife Nectaria come to watch their two sons train. 8-year-old Achilles.
Can you take your brother in? He wants you to take him.
And 4-year-old Yoti.
Yeah, pretty much everyone's related in this club. Yeah, my dad Achilles. It's my uncle Stelio. It's my god brother George. That's his dad. And it's mate Tony. So we all grew up together, went to school together. And same, yeah, we're all basically, parents are from the same village back in Greece.
They're all desperately worried about Nick.
Nice.
2 years ago, when he was 35, he was diagnosed with relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis. It's often called an invisible disease because the effects aren't always obvious.
Run, Yoti, run!
So are you feeling anything now?
Knee feels a bit jarred. My body feels really stiff. Still moving around and stuff, but even just trying to go for a jog just feels, I don't know, misjointed. Just doesn't feel right. You literally could be walking and all of a sudden you just stumble.
Nick's diagnosis turned his world upside down.
I just remember then 3 neurologists sat my brother and my wife down, and I just knew there was something wrong. And then they sort of told us that you've got MS. And it's just alarm bells in the head going, and you're just thinking to yourself, holy shit, there's no cure for this, and you're just going to be left in a wheelchair.
I remember screaming so loud outside the front of Box Hill Hospital.
Since then, Nick's been plagued by fatigue, migraines, blurred vision, pain and numbness in his legs, and dread about what still lies in store.
So you got to check for the whole coronavirus thing.
In a week's time, he's supposed to fly to Moscow for a stem cell transplant, a treatment that halts the progression of MS in about 80 to 90% of cases like Nick's.
It's going to be effective, you dream.
I think so, Phil. I don't know my luck but I'm due to leave on Friday.
It involves chemotherapy, which will suppress his immune system.
I was still adamant that as long as I'm permitted to travel, I'm heading over and I'm doing this treatment.
Yoti, that was brilliant stuff today, mate. I'm looking forward to coaching you next week, okay?
MS is an autoimmune disease, which means Nick's immune system doesn't just defend him from infections, it attacks healthy cells. No one knows why it happens, but MS damages the protective coating on nerves in your brain and spine, causing lesions. Nick has more than 50. These distort messages from the brain to the rest of the body, sometimes leading to severe disability. There's no known cure. A handful of celebrities have drawn attention to this mysterious disease. Most recently, Hollywood actress Selma Blair.
People, brush, big, bronzer. When I first got MS, I had no idea what it was or how it would affect me.
Come up, we gotta get your shoes. Come on, love. Shouldn't have done that.
Back in 2014, Gold Coast nurse Christy Cruz showed Australians how debilitating MS can be when she appeared on 60 Minutes.
I have the sensation of bugs crawling over my head and my shoulders all the time.
She was also the inspiration for many Australians seeking stem cell treatment overseas.
It's a scary thing to do, and it's even scarier when you're in a foreign country.
It's the same procedure used in bone marrow transplants for leukemia patients. Blood stem cells are removed from your bone marrow. Then a high dose of chemotherapy is used to knock out your immune system, which is the source of the MS.
Christy Cruz stem cells.
That's awesome.
And then your stem cells are reinfused, rebooting your immune system. Although the treatment doesn't claim to reverse the damage done by MS, some people get lucky. This was Christy after her treatment.
My MS is completely stopped since I had my treatment.
Alright guys, break. Wait, let me get your piece as well.
Stem cell transplants, known as HSCT, have been very successful in clinical trials, especially for young patients with relapsing remitting MS. But the treatment isn't widely available anywhere in the world. And although Nick's current neurologist supports his plans to seek treatment abroad, he says most are dismissive.
So I spoke to many of, I guess, my previous MS neurologists about HSCT. They were all against it. Some of the feedback I was getting was, no, it's not proven, it's still being tested, don't do it, it's going to kill you.
This is Tecfidera.
Nick was offered the standard first line of treatment for his MS, drugs.
It's a pill for relapsing MS.
Although they don't come with the upfront risk of a stem cell transplant, which has a mortality rate of about 0.5%, drugs only hold out the promise of slowing rather than halting the disease. They're often ineffective, and many come with significant health risks.
Tecfidera may cause serious side effects, such as allergic reactions, PML, which is a rare brain infection that usually leads to death or severe disability, and decreases in your white
I jumped
blood
onto
cells.
an MS drug called Aubagio. I was taking Aubagio tablets every single day for up to 12 months.
Since I've been on Aubagio, I haven't had any relapses, and my doctor hasn't seen any progression in disability.
But they obviously didn't work for me. Lesions continued.
In Australia, clinical trials for stem cell transplants only accept people who've failed to respond to multiple drug treatments. Nick's been told he doesn't qualify because he hasn't tried and failed at least one other drug.
Which just leaves us dumbfounded as to why on earth am I meant to be trying MS drugs? You want me to progress in the form of disability before you give me an opportunity to actually get my life back. Makes no sense whatsoever. I guess we're just frustrated that they've been doing a trial in Australia since 2012 and not allow MS patients to jump onto this and reap the benefits of it and force us to go abroad for treatment.
While Nick's getting ready for his trip to Moscow, I learn that there are already 4 Australians with MS getting stem cell transplants at the AA Maximov Hospital.
I'll turn the Russian aircon on, I'll show you this.
Around 1,000 foreign patients have received stem cell treatments here, each paying around $80,000. More than 200 of them have come from Australia, often after months of online fundraising.
Here we go.
Michael Jones from Brisbane is the most recent arrival. He got here on the 10th of March, a day before the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic.
So tell me about coronavirus. How did you feel heading over to Russia when it was already around?
In Queensland particularly, it wasn't that severe. We were at maybe 20 cases when I made the call to jump, but it got worse and worse as I headed over. As I was in the air travelling, like significantly worse at a rate of knots. It's one hell of a complication with flights home. I have a flight booked for the 12th of April, but who knows whether it'll still be there.
Nurse, can we just leave the fringe? Just this one.
Michael's treatment will last another month, and like Nick Dimos, he feels this is his only hope of stopping his MS.
Okay, had a bit of a sleep after the last chemo. A bit of a mess, sorry about that. Lunch is served. I will show you. Not entirely sure what it is. Bread with every meal. Always a soup. The soups are great. Looks like some sort of grain, some sort of meat, some sort of sauce. It's lunch is serviceable. It's breakfast that's a problem, the porridge.
7,000 lives have been lost in total worldwide. Here in Australia, 375 cases have been confirmed so far.
Nick and Nectaria are due to fly to Moscow in 3 days' time. They've already started packing. But they woke up to some worrying news.
Have you heard that they're closing the borders for Australians, Russia? Okay, no problem. Thank you.
They're discovering that there are no certainties as the pandemic becomes real.
At this stage, everything's up in limbo. Just waiting for the hospital to, I guess, reach out and advise of next steps.
Obviously, all countries are closing borders, but they do have special considerations in special cases. Maybe with Russia, you're one of those special cases.
I'm not sure what to think anymore.
In the middle of all the confusion, they have a visitor. The woman who inspired their decision to go to Russia.
Hello.
Hi.
How we doing it? How we doing it?
Poppy Siakos went to Moscow 4 years ago to treat her own MS.
What's going on?
What's happening? Russia's closed their borders.
It's nuts. It's, yeah. Just woke
When
up.
did you get notification?
Haven't received anything from the hospital yet.
Oh.
Just gonna roll with it. Take a seat.
Yeah, thank you. I feel blessed. I feel really blessed that I've been and I've met the team there, and I've stopped its progression. I have not had any new lesions. It's been 4 years. I don't take any medication at all.
That's awesome.
And I just, I want that same thing for you, honestly.
Just speaking to you for the first time we met, and you just walked me through your story. It was like, no, this is going to happen. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
So,
very
grateful for that.
Oh, I'm glad that I've just got goosebumps because, I feel that Christy Cruz shared her story with everybody, and I was able to, get advice from her, and she helped me, and I have to help others. But I will wish you all the best. I will be in touch anyway. You'll be right.
Yeah, thank you.
Just focus on you. Just, one day at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
One day
That's all we
at a
can do
time.
right now.
Yeah.
So. Thank you so much for coming past.
No worries. Thank you.
Can't hug, can't kiss.
All right.
The hospital in Moscow finally contacts Nick to confirm the bad news.
Anastasia, she said, let's delay, but we'll find out a date when situation is stable again and will work normally. We will accept you in our first group of patients when restrictions will be cancelled. Is that okay?
It's quite an emotional roller coaster.
Oh, it is, mate. It's just up and down. Head's about to explode. It's like so close to getting this thing done, and now it just looks like it's so far away again.
What's your biggest fear right now?
Biggest fear right now is the MS progressing, me getting another episode that may result in further disability. And God knows what that disability could bring. That's the scariest thing.
I can't follow Nick to Russia anymore. But I'm still keen to follow Michael's progress as best I can from my home in Melbourne.
So how are you feeling today? Like what stage of the treatment are you at?
So this is my last day of chemotherapy. I'm booked up at the moment. Look, I was a little bit nauseous this morning, but it's nothing unmanageable, quite frankly.
This is Dr Denis Fedorenko,
It's filming, isn't it?
a Russian hematologist who's revered by the thousands of MS sufferers he's treated.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
He's the reason Michael's in Moscow.
Oh, hello.
Okay. Do you hear us?
I hear you and I see you. I'm sorry I cannot be there to meet you in person.
Okay, I'm happy to meet you personally too, and I'm ready to answer all your questions.
Sometimes in the media, this treatment is described as a miracle cure. Do you think that maybe some patients come to you and their expectations are too high? They think that it can cure their multiple sclerosis?
All patients understand that this is not 100% successful treatment. They know statistics, and unfortunately sometimes disease comes back. But we try to do the best. If we compare transplantation with other technologies, this treatment is much more effective.
So, preparing for stem cell transplantation, the last part of the process. The nurse has been in, sterilised the room, do a full clean up. It doesn't sound too invasive from the people who've gone before me. My Australian friends have completed this in the last couple of days and all seem relatively well. Doesn't stop me being nervous about it, to be honest.
Do you feel okay?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Even in Russia, there's resistance to stem cell transplants as a first line of treatment for MS patients. It's only available free to a handful of Russians enrolled in clinical trials.
Your blood pressure is also fine. Heart rate well. Nothing dangerous or problems.
Dr. Fedorenko is frustrated by how difficult it is to win over the medical establishment.
All done.
All done?
Yes.
Why do you think that everywhere in the world this is still considered an experimental treatment? What is the resistance?
Lack of cooperation between specialists, because the disease is neurological, the treatment is hematological, also maybe pharmaceutical business, because nowadays we have result of randomized trial which compared transplantation and the best disease modifying drug. This is American and European trial published last year, that transplantation is much more effective.
The day after Michael's stem cells are reinfused, there's a special ceremony to mark the rebirth of his immune system.
Well done, Michael.
He pours out the dry ice used to store his stem cells before going into isolation, where he's safe from infection while his immune system recovers.
Oh, congratulations. You do a great job, thank you.
Sydney's St Vincent's Hospital is one of 3 now performing stem cell transplants on MS patients. But all are still in the clinical trial phase.
St Vincent's Hospital has the first MS transplant program in the country.
Dr Nada Hamad is director of the Haematology Clinical Trials Unit at St Vincent's.
This is a treatment which, as you say, has had very, very promising results. It offers, in halting the disease, something that none of the drugs offer, and the treatment you're obviously comfortable with at St Vincent's. Why the restrictions on who can get this treatment and who can't?
It's very hard for us to say with absolute certainty that the safety is guaranteed and the risks are quantifiable. The data is just not mature yet. We look forward to seeing that data, and there are active phase 3 randomized controlled trials internationally. There's at least a few of those that will mature in the next few years.
Can you understand why some people are angry that they can't access this in Australia, and why they're choosing to go to Russia and pay for treatment?
Of course, I understand the frustration of patients not being able to take control of their own destinies and make their own choices. But I feel that it's important to appreciate that we are trying our best to be able to offer this treatment safely and in an individualized way to make sure that the risks that we do take are actually reasonable risks to take.
So I'm in day 5 of isolation. Got a chart here that tracks all my blood counts and all those sorts of things. My immune system is officially dead as a doornail.
When Michael arrived in Moscow, there were very few reported cases of coronavirus in Russia, and its government didn't seem too concerned. That's changed now. Since Michael's gone into isolation, Moscow's gone into lockdown.
What's the news? What's happening?
There seems to be no flights whatsoever, in or out of Russia at the moment.
So there's literally no way that you can get on a plane and get back here at the moment?
Literally nothing. There is not one single flight scheduled in or out.
And what do you know about what will happen when your treatment ends? Can you stay there?
The problem now is that this facility will start taking on coronavirus patients, which for a group of people with no immune system is a scary situation. So maybe a hotel in Moscow somewhere. It's all really suboptimal. You know, I could deal with the COVID-19 issue on a flight because that's a tangible, but living in a hotel unprotected for a month in a foreign country, totally different paradigm. I'm not sure what to do. Worried about my own safety now, more than anything else.
You take care, Michael.
Righto, thanks, Hamad. See you.
You got a bit of hair loss going on there, it seems.
I have an awful lot of hair loss going on, and I haven't shaved. That's just come out by itself.
So the last time I spoke to you, you were a bit stressed because you weren't sure what was going to happen when the treatment finished. Have you got some other options, or?
Oh yeah. So what's happened? We've organised a private jet out of Moscow to Heathrow, and this fellow has a mother and a sister, both with MS, and sort of a great deal of compassion for the cause. So he's not only offered to do it, he's offered to do it almost profit-free. This guy is some kind of saint. Seriously, he's going to look after us. Dead set guardian angel. Sorry, Dr. Fedzi. Doctor. Yes. Hello.
Oh, Dr. Fedorenko.
Michael's time in isolation is due to end today. Dr. Fedorenko keeps a close eye out for any sign that his immune system isn't recovering as fast as it should.
Okay, today you can go in the lobby to visit your friend. Good.
Is he a good patient, Dr. Fedorenko?
The best patient.
The best.
The best.
And how was my blood today?
Yeah, I can. Your blood is great. 19, 3.1, 92. Stop isolation.
Just 2 days ago, Michael's immune system bottomed out and he needed a blood transfusion.
Yeah.
If it hadn't bounced back, it wouldn't have been safe to travel.
All done. Fantastic. And you can leave safely on Thursday.
Thank you, Doctor.
In just 3 more days, Michael will be heading home.
So good.
And bye-bye.
From London, he's got a ticket booked to Perth and then on to Brisbane.
The fact that you reckon you can be home by next weekend is amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah, it is. It really is amazing. I'm lucky that I've got the financial capacity to get myself there. This is not a cheap exercise.
In fact, the flight to London is costing Michael $20,000.
Well, nice to see you again, and nice to see you smiling, Michael.
Nice to see you.
Take care. We'll talk soon.
See you, mate. Bye.
Back home, Michael's wife, Rachel, has been trying to move heaven and earth to get him safely home.
Do you want Daddy to have a drink of your water?
She's organised the charter flight and special permission for Michael to bypass quarantine in Perth.
You look really good. You really do. You look like you're ready to rock and roll.
Thanks.
I can't wait. Not long now.
You guys have done an amazing job.
Yeah. You know what? You'd do the same for me. I love you. I absolutely love you, and you know what? Like I said to you, I go to the end of the earth for you. It's all right, hold it together. We'll talk about this later. Just mission impossible. So keep going, and we can cry at the end, okay?
Okay.
All right. I love you. You stay strong.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
It's hard. Sometimes it's really hard just to stay really strong. He'll be home soon.
Now you're MS free, no MS, but damage is still here. It's important to understand because recovery process takes time.
Okay, just had my exit interview with Dr. Fedorenko. Went really well.
Done. Give me a hug, and before I leave, I visit you to give a hug again, and all your family. All the best. So, enjoy your life. Thank you. Thank you.
Treatment done, private jet booked for the morning, ready to go. It's amazing. I have, not glamorous, but a bag of nappies to support me on the way home if that's something I think I need.
Okay.
At least Michael's not alone. He's travelling to Perth with Jason Tui, another Australian patient of Dr. Fedorenko's.
Bye. Thank you.
See you next time.
No.
The focus until now has been on finding a way out of Russia.
Smile, Jason. Give us a see you later, Moscow.
See you later.
Oh, thank goodness. Off we go.
But Michael's wife, Rachel, knows that there's nothing remotely safe about travelling during a pandemic with a suppressed immune system.
London is the epicentre right now of COVID-19 there. Having said that though, it's better than him being stuck in a hotel in Russia. I say that, but I'm not going to be able to rest easy until that flight goes ahead because I still doubt it. And I don't want to doubt it, I really don't. But you still can't help but think everything else has gone balls up, you know, so what's going to happen next? And I just pray, I'm not a religious person, but I pray. And I can't show me that I'm scared. That's been the hardest part. I need him to recover.
The first leg goes without a hitch. Next is a commercial flight from London to Doha.
So, entering Heathrow. It's pretty well deserted, which is good. Okay, so we're on the plane from Heathrow to Doha. They've been good enough to separate us somewhat from other people. Still prefer to be further away, so see what's available once we're up in the air, but for now I'll just stay masked up and gobbled up.
In Doha, it's on to flight number 3, headed for Perth.
For what it's worth, this is the flight from Doha to Perth. I think there are legitimately 10 people on this entire aeroplane.
But there's been another setback. The flight to Brisbane has been cancelled. Michael can only get home if he hires another private jet. at a cost of $30,000.
Okay, so we're coming into Perth Airport. Thank goodness. It's been a long trip. Nice to be back on Australian soil. I now have a private jet because there's no domestic flights to Brisbane anymore. Had a little bit of a scare on the way home. My temperature kept spiking. My immediate thought was that it was a fever or sepsis or something fairly nasty, but after reaching out to Anastasia, it turns out that for some people it's just a side effect of the chemo, and all you do is pop a couple of paracetamol and it goes away. Private jet out of Perth, headed for Brisbane.
Feels like you've really had a front row seat in terms of how the world has changed over the past week or two, and changed so quickly. Like, this is the stuff we're all watching on the news each night as countries shut their borders, as quarantine arrangements are put in place.
I will be honest, there was times there that I thought it's not going to happen, this is impossible. You know, the more borders were put up, the more restrictions were put in place. And I know it's for the health and safety of the world. I don't disagree with it. But at the same time, I just want him to get through. And you know what? I'll appreciate him and the world that little bit more, because it's just horrific. We're all living a nightmare as it is, but then to next level. And I know there's other people stuck, there's other Australians stuck in other countries, I'm aware of that. But not everyone has had HSCT and got stuck in the middle of it.
Just landed in Huntsville. Oh, so happy. That's the end of that adventure. Time to go home.
A month after they were supposed to travel to Russia, I catch up with Nick and Nectaria again.
Would you like to try some flour?
It's Easter Sunday for all the Greek Orthodox families who live around here, and everyone's trying to celebrate together while keeping their distance.
So we're going to attempt a traditional Greek dance, but ISO style. So 1.5 meters apart from each other. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's great.
All right, how do we do this?
Surprisingly, there was a silver lining to the pandemic for the Dimos family.
This whole coronavirus, I think it's forced us to actually slow down and just enjoy time with the kids and enjoy family time. So all in all, it's actually been good. It's been really good to slow down.
You think that's good for the MS?
Yeah, no stress. I mean, I'm not working at the moment, so you don't have the everyday stresses of life and work.
With borders closed indefinitely, it could be a long time before Nick can travel to Russia.
It's a difficult one at the moment. As much as it's nice to slow down, when you put it into perspective, if this thing takes another year, who knows what's going to happen with our finances and everything else.
And your MS.
And the MS. That's the most difficult component. You don't know what tomorrow brings. I'm okay right now. I think I feel good. Apart from being fatigued, I'm okay, but you just don't know what tomorrow brings. So yeah, perfect.
Nick and Nectaria have heard about Michael's ordeal getting back from Russia, but they take very different lessons from his experience.
I look at that case though and I think he's so lucky. He's so lucky that he got in, he did the treatment, and he's got a very high chance in actually getting his life back now. As painful as it was going through the journey, I wish I was in that case that we flew over to Russia a week or two beforehand. I would happily go through that pain knowing that it's actually going to stop my MS. than waiting around for another year or two not knowing what tomorrow brings.
I don't agree with Nick, and we've always butt heads with this conversation, because if we had gone to Russia and come back in this pandemic, or, you know, it would have been so scary. You know, coming back with barely no immune system and, you know, having this virus lingering around us would have been so scary. You know, it's life-threatening. That's what's life-threatening. I wouldn't have been able to cope. There's no way.
They wish that these dilemmas didn't exist, that people like Nick and Michael could access stem cell transplants without taking unnecessary risks.
Give people a real option. Give people an option to actually get their lives back. There is no cure yet, and I wish one day there will be for MS patients. But right now, the best course of treatment is HSCT. So Australia really needs to pull their finger out and give that option to Aussies. Don't force us abroad.
Stuck in Melbourne for now, Nick's thinking about trying another MS drug in the hope of getting into a clinical trial if it doesn't work.
Hey, we're accidentally recording.
Michael's recovering well, but it will be months, if not years, before he knows that the treatment was successful.
You're doing a great job, Jordan.
The whole experience cost him more than $140,000.